Now, Roosevelt broke from the Republican Party over the new nationalism. Let's use that to sort of look at the other side of the equation, the bits of the contemporary right that also claim Roosevelt. Number of prominent Republicans, Marco Rubio,
John McCain.
and Josh Hawley,
Yeah.
who's even written a biography of Roosevelt, Republican senator. These people also looked to Roosevelt. So what is it in the modern right what do they take from him?
I think that there's a vivid and unabashed patriotism, unapologetic patriotism, and a belief in America as having some kind of mission to the world, and that the use of American power in the world is a good thing. That America stands for good things. I mean, this is something the left is very reluctant to sort of go that far. Not so much so the right. I mean, they're not reluctant at all. I'm not sure that, I don't want to speak out of school here, but I'm not sure that a fellow like Hawley, I know he did write, when he was clerking for a Supreme Court justice, I forget which one, wrote this book on Roosevelt. I'm not sure that he fully grasps how antagonistic Roosevelt was to the existing constitutional structure, the Constitution as it was framed, as it was designed, with its programmatic separation of powers and division of functions between various branches of government. McCain was a military man who, from a military family. I mean, he was the son of an admiral, a nephew of an admiral. I mean, admirals, admirals out the kazoo in that family. And there's a different kind of relationship to the country that one has when one has that status within the order of things. You tend to think more in terms of the nation and less in terms of the specific perquisites of localities. Now, there used to be in the Democratic Party long ago a sort of localist, especially in the South, a localist contingent, but that has largely been, to the extent it exists at all anywhere, the property of Republicans, and so there would be some. But there's not much to console them in Theodore Roosevelt. He simply didn't have that kind of sense of the land. He did have a great sense of the land, of the sort of magnificence of the West, of the monuments and canyons and mountains and other spectacles of the American landscape and the need to preserve them, a sense of a relationship of civilization and wilderness. This is actually an interesting theme in him, and in many of the people of his milieu. That's this sort of sense that, the mistake that Europe had made, it had become too civilized, and that America had the chance to be a kind of a civilized country that nevertheless maintained a sort of relationship to the primal energies of an uncivilized or a wild life.
This is one of the things where the national parks
Yes.
comes from.
And Roosevelt was a great advocate for football in its early days, and in football, the more bloody and cranial capacity diminishing, the better.
He believed in football as a contact sport.
He believed in football as a brutal sport. I mean, and wrestling. He actually took an interest in when efforts were made to sort of clean up some of these sports on the collegiate level. As president, in several cases he intervened and said, "No, you should keep the rules the way they are. This is what builds men. Is this kind of strenuous life It's another one of his famous phrases from an essay he did, The Strenuous Life. One wanted to constantly be testing the limits, testing oneself. He wouldn't be the kind of guy who at 42 would have decided to live off his fortune and move to Boca Raton and
Right.
live on an estate.
Right.